Favorite class is going to be directing. For me, that was when you're getting to the fun stuff. You're working, you're on your hands and knees, you're having fun. We as film students became actors, which is like, that's putting everyone out of the comfort zone. No one went to the film making course to want to be an actor. They wanted to be behind it, they wanted to run away from the camera. But to get people out of their comfort zone and get creative and work, that was it. That's what I learned the most. And that's the stuff that I haven't used yet, because I've done a lot of production management stuff. That's the course where I learned the most practical things, production management by far. But hopefully to use directing later on and come back and know the importance of it all. And my least favorite class was editing. Put me in front of a computer and make me edit something where I can't listen to music and I've got to watch the same thing over and over in the 40 different takes with bad sound that doesn't work. It does me senseless, but it taught me when I'm filming it on the day. Yeah. Make it good for the editor, because that might be me if I'm unlucky enough.
Yeah, well, going off that, like, that's great, the fact that you learned directing and you learned production managing and editing, like those classes, you have all those. So that way when you come to a film set, you can be an editor, like you have all those skills. You can use the camera, you can use the sound, production managing. So you come out into the industry with the skills of producing.
Can I ask you then, like you talked about a lot of different skills, what's an average day like then for a student coming through the program? Like how does the day get structured?
Yeah, well, so you usually have about 2 classes in a day. So depends on the day, but it's usually Monday to Thursday. You rock up at 9 and you might have a 3-hour class in the morning with production management. So with our teacher, Mark Barnard.
Amazing teacher.
Yes.
And he's done apparently 200 episodes he's directed of Play School alone.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's that experience of him coming and showing us, teaching us, and then you'll have lunch. And lunch is great as well, because then you're creating your network there. And
an hour of networking every day.
Yeah, definitely. And before class and after school and things like that, when you're all together. And then the afternoon, it could be something like directing or a cinematography class with Les. We do quite a few editing, even focus on editing on sound, so working on sound in post-production, and also sound in production. So you have classes where you'll focus just on how to create that sound and work with that. So yeah, every day is a little bit different with different classes, but yeah, it's 9 to 5, Monday to Thursday.
And you might not use any of that for a couple of years, but if I understand what's going on set in the camera department or the sound department, it makes it a lot easier. I'm like, oh, they're doing Atmos, I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, it's that knowledge, isn't it?
It's knowledge, because you might have someone who's, someone's nephew being there for the first day and talking right through it, and you're just dying on the inside. You're like, oh, buddy. But having that understanding is so important. Yeah. And just like, it's not relative to me now, but it could be in the next 10 minutes. Just having the bare knowledge of what's happening, really, really critical to working on set and around it. And that's big and especially small scale.
Yeah. And that's what you learned while you were studying here?
100%. So understanding the importance of every single department is critical to this industry and learning it.
Yeah, well, once you get that knowledge, you have this respect for the set, because you know your role and you stick to that role, whatever that may be for that day. And you learn that at the school, that you have to respect the set and you have to stick to your role. And even though you have an idea for the camera shot, your sound, you stick to that.
Yeah, you don't speak up and grab the camera and move
so
it.
you can't go on a set as a production assistant, walk up to the director and say, hey, I got a really good shot for you.
Yeah, well, you can, but not a great idea.
And how does this acting school work the same way?
Well, I would say it's the same in the sense that there's 2 to 3 classes a day, and we also run Monday through Thursday, so 9 to 5. But so that the actors in first year, which is what Lily's doing at the moment, she's doing essentially 6 core foundation classes in first semester. So she's doing improvisation, she's doing acting, technique and development, and acting for camera. She's doing voice and movement and tech craft is what she's doing throughout the week. And certainly for me, it's about structuring, trying to give the actors a mix every day that they're training. So never a day of just all sitting, which you hardly ever sitting in an acting course, but so if they've got a 3-hour camera class where they're mostly sitting and watching stuff that they filmed and getting feedback. Then the afternoon is up on the floor. You know, it's moving around. You know, I always tandem voice and movement back to back because they're skills classes. They're generally in the mornings when actors might be the most awake.
Thank you.
And because Little is in a class of 25, the group is split. So it's in 2 small groups, so Group A and Group B. And they're sometimes together, so they have a voice and movement class, and both the acting classes they have as an ensemble, but they also break into the smaller groups for really intensive work during the week. So what's your favourite class at the moment?
The class I'm most enjoying right now would probably be the actor in their craft class that we have with Garth Holcomb. I feel like from the very beginning, coming in and not knowing absolutely anything about acting, that is where I learned the foundation of my acting and just like the beginning of everything. You know, that's like where I learned the technique from the very first day. So having that class and then starting, you know, the first week, and then by the end of the term, our 10th week, being able to successfully do a live performance with a character that I created and with a group and my scene partners that we were all really proud of, that was really exciting to do. And yeah, that class, I feel like I've come a long way and it's taught me a lot. And you know, in acting and even my confidence, being able to get up and do that live performance was huge. And
It's a massive step forward.
It was a big step forward. So.
And we based our training in Stanislavski at SAS. So, you know, this class is primarily a class that covers actions, objectives, you know, who am I, what is my relationship, and the real basics of how to break down a scene, you know, script analysis, linear work. So it's the basics of how to do that. And then it literally has tendrils in every other class that you do, that class.
And we're taught it too at the film school, which is important.
Well, because it's a common actor language, you know. So if you want to know how to talk to an actor, if they've been through any kind of training, even a short course, they're going to know those terms, and they're going to often base their preparation in those terms, and then come to a director and say, "What do you need from me?" You know, that's what I prepared earlier. So that class is really, really, really crucial for your learning and training. Garth Holcomb, you know, for my money, is the best. Currently the best foundational acting teacher in Australia. I think he's extraordinary. So my rule for the acting course, every working teacher has to be a working practitioner. So what I mean by that, if COVID taught us anything, the industry is constantly changing, and it's really important for the actors to learn from people who are in the industry now, you know, who are working now. So Garth Holcomb, incredible actor, he's leaving us for the second half of the year to go and be a lead actor in Bell's new Shakespeare. He's doing 12th Night at the end of the year.
And that's an important point, because a lot of times when you get a tenured person in a course, they've been there for 25 years, but they've, like from our side, never made a movie since 1972. And it kind of becomes coasting. What's interesting about what we have here is that everyone's relevant and actually working in the industry and has amazing experience, who are also willing to give back.
You really have to be doing it now, you know. So all of our teachers are, and it's a thrill when a teacher goes back, I can't teach on Thursday, I've got a gig, you know. So Linny Pierce she's filming the next week, and she's filming all the next week, so she can't teach animals next week. So it's a thrill because she goes away, does a film, comes back and tells the students all about it. Felicity Jerd, prolific voiceover artist, always email me the second she finds out from her agent and says, Beck, I can't come in because I've got to go and do an audio book or a gig. She gets to come back and tell the students about that. So that's the exciting thing about having tutors that you've got to recover and replace, is because they're working in the industry as artists, as directors, as actors, as writers.
And we're lucky, like on the film side, we have Les Parrott, who teaches cinematography for us. The Beatles documentary that's on Disney Plus, he shot the original footage with the Beatles, and he worked on the Thunderbirds and all these shows, and he comes in. And what I think I really love what he brings to this is that he'll walk in some days with a piece of wood and some rags hanging down. And I said, what are you doing? And he'll say, I'm going to teach all the students how to create fire without having to do a fire. And by doing all these almost like old world techniques, but also understanding these brand new cameras inside out, it just bridges the gap. And most importantly, with all the lecturers, if you have a question about how do I handle that, they know how to answer it.
It's also, you know, like someone like Pip Edwards, who's, you know, our core acting on screen teacher, extraordinary. all through COVID, she was constantly coming up with ideas about how to, best instruct actors who are stuck at home, not working, how to do the best self-tape, how to do online courses, she's inventive in that way. And so many of our teachers across both schools are like that. It's always about giving the students the best experience and getting the most out of your classes. And they're a thrill to staff and they're a thrill to have in the school because they make your experience better. But they're also, because they're working practitioners, when you graduate, you already have your network. You're not starting from scratch. You're already starting with people that you've worked with, that you know, that you love, who love you, who can recommend you for gigs and for work. So, I mean, that's a really important part of
Can I ask a question to you guys who've all studied with us? Culturally, the experience of coming and learning skills at a place is one thing, but your experience of the year or the 2 years you spend with us are memories you take away. What was the culture like that you started when you studied with us? Was it a place that was warm? How was it?
Whatever you made of it. It's whatever attitude you had, and you could show up for just your classes and go away and get your diploma and walk out if that's what you wanted. I certainly didn't. And I met a bunch of great friends who also did in acting schools as well. Like, I found it awesome. It was the people who I went to go see movies with, the people who on a Thursday afternoon we did our last class and we got off a little bit early and we'd go to the pub. That's memories you will remember forever, and friends I do have and I still message and still catch up with. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, going off that, like, that's a big thing in the school is you making a network, which is fantastic, but it was also at the school, we do these little, like, movie nights and things like that. Even when you were here, we did a movie night every second Thursday, and we do like a trivia night. It's just a way to keep the community together, and so it's another way for the acting school and the film school to combine together as well. We have a school dinner that we do, which is all the students just getting together and at night just catch up and talk and create that community.
What's your experience been like in terms of working with an ensemble? Ensemble of 25, and sometimes split into two smaller groups. What's that like, being thrown into the bucket with 25 other people and having to work so intensively with them?
Yeah, well, I'm really lucky with my ensemble, where, it is really intensive work, but we're all really close and we all really support each other, and it's just a really supportive environment, and we're always helping each other and wanting to kind of encourage each other, build each other up in class. Some of the things that you do can make you quite vulnerable, and just like acting in general can be quite a vulnerable experience. So I think it's really important to have people that you trust and have people that lift you up and encourage you in your class so that you can feel supported when you are doing that work. And I feel like we've created a really good environment here, and you guys have obviously done that as well, where, there's no judgment and we're all just working towards the same goal. And I think that's something that really unites us and brings us together.
Yeah, I mean,
no matter our
it's good
backgrounds.
industry practice because you come from completely different backgrounds. Some of you have never worked or never done acting before, really, but also you never know the ensemble you're going to get. Sometimes an ensemble gels really beautifully and it's quite natural. Sometimes that's not really the case and they work together really professionally, but they aren't necessarily all best buddies. But either way, it's great practice for the industry, where you're going to be on a set with people you've never met before, or if you're an actor, acting with people that you wouldn't like throw water on if they were on fire, that's going to be your experience, a real mix. So working in a group of actors, an ensemble of actors, really just helps you prepare for anything, to be able to work with any personality. It's really, really important. What was your experience like working in ensemble and taking it out into the industry?
Overall, a very positive experience. My ensemble was awesome. We were really great. I think I had a bit of a different experience being a student, because there were a lot of like beautiful community building opportunities like the movie nights and everything, but I had 3 jobs at one point while I was studying, and it was really difficult, so I had to I think I made maybe 2 or 3 movie nights. I was very strict with how I treated my body and so on, as much as I could, working so much, because when you rock up to a class and if you're sick, well, your instrument's gone.
Yep.
So you have to take care of it. also there's a lot of group activities too, so you need to be there and you need to be responsible, and you're held accountable to the group at all times as well. And lucky for me, my ensemble was just beautiful.
And hardworking, really hardworking group.
Yeah, really hardworking. And you know, we all had our favourite roles on a set. There was some really beautiful, like, moments that I will cherish forever. Like, you know, opening a play and, you know, playing some theatre sports or games, or like in particular 21, and reaching 21 with no errors on the first time, and then you open a play. It's amazing. And just, you know, just moments where you start to know what they're thinking, and you start to, you know, be able to read each other so well because of all of your body awareness training, all of the training as actors. There was a beautiful situation in Kevin Jackson's class where I guess for the entire duration of Kevin's classes, you sit in a circle and you share your experiences for 2 hours before you start acting. That's the class. And so the way that you get to know each other and all of the experiences, and you get to see how people change as well. Their own, I guess, like at the time you can see when they enter a class, they may have a prejudice against something, and then by the end of the course, they've completely flipped their viewpoint on that. And that's from all of that, secondary resource sharing in Kevin's class. So it's so special, and it's so rare to find that in your career.
I think that's a really good point. It is special. There's something really special about being in an ensemble of actors. And I think you made a point before, Demi, that's really important. So much of what you do as an actor, it's not a solo sport. It's a team sport. You know, whether you're doing a play and you're cast with other people, if you're doing scene work with just one other person, you're beholden to that person. So it's not about you anymore. It's about the person who's waiting to rehearse with you, you know, or it's your ensemble of actors who are willing to do a play with you, or it's doing a short film and every single person is needed on set for it to work because you've only got 30 hours to shoot it. You know, the ensemble is key to acting training, certainly. I would say the same about film training.
Well, I'm interested then, that ensemble training you had going out into the industry and working, how did being able to walk into a room and then effectively have to fit into, I'm going to say team, but it's not. It's either
I
the
say
ensemble.
team constantly.
Is it? Okay, well I'll say team. Leaving the ensemble and you go into the industry and you have to go and fit into a team. The skills you learnt on the ensemble, did they work in the industry?
Yes, when the room is willing to work with you. I think it's the only way. The skills, especially Beck, the way that you dealt with any kind of personal dramas, you're with them, you're living in each other's pockets for 2 years straight, and with the acting course, it gets really intimate very quickly with those people. So there will be small dramas here and there, definitely, but the way that like Sydney Actor School themselves deal with it is, it's so purely professional, and that kind of attitude, it's, to be honest, it's the only way that the industry can operate, and the best workplaces I've been in have operated that way.
It's a hard industry and everyone is accountable for what you're doing. So having a team that you can trust and work with, essential. Very, very critical to it, so I cannot agree more.
And it sounds like you've ingratiated yourself into a number of teams now, having graduated. And part of that was the skills you learnt when you were studying here?
Yeah, it's when to say what you want to say, when you need to hold back, when you so want to say something, but it's like, it's not the right person, it's not the right time, I need to be quiet. I need to shut up and listen, because I might not agree with everything, but there might be a little bit in there that I'm like, cool. And that's where I learnt copy, and you just say, copy. Yeah. Give them a smile, and it can be a little bit of a sarcastic smile, but that's fine, it's just copy. It's all about working together, and if everyone's got that attitude going in, you'll make some great stuff.